drilling out there. They're drilling in the adjacent areas. They're drilling all around, and that money, as was said earlier, we are very conscious of what we spend our money for, and that revenue is being used to help promote these parks. We make sure we're tough negotiators. We negotiate with these companies. We make sure that as much as it can be, the pads are located in areas out of the mainstream, out of the viewscape. We have them back in wooded areas, out in valleys, so that they're not seen. Us being out of Cross Creek last weekend, when we have well sites out there, I did not see any of them. Didn't see a sign of any wells. So it can be done. It can be done responsibly, and it can be done to protect our environment. The use of the money is a great help towards the parks. I don't know if anybody's been to any of our parks. They are absolutely beautiful. We have 3 parks, Cross Creek, Mingo, and 10 Mile. They're absolutely beautiful. We've got new equipment in there. We're repairing the roads, picnic areas, picnic pavilions, and that's because the money that's been generated from the wells. I think we've done it. I think we've done it responsibly, and we're making sure that we hold the drillers and the gas companies to a high standard with the environment.
Thank you. We'll start the next question with Diana Irie Vaughn. This is the last question on Marcellus Shale, but it's a double question. Number 1, are you a leaseholder or investor with any gas company? And number 2, do you see any conflict of interest in land use or zoning policies being made by local or county officials who have signed leases?
I'm not a leaseholder or investor for any of this industry. As far as the land use, can you repeat that? That was a little confusing.
Do you see any conflict of interest in land use or zoning policies being formulated by and voted on by local or county officials who are leaseholders? You may have seen the article in the Post-Gazette about this a few days ago.
Okay. There could potentially be a conflict of interest. There are times that we are called to vote on things that we have a strong opinion on because maybe there's a close tie to it. And to abstain from a vote legally, as we've been told by our solicitors, you're supposed to have a direct benefit from something that you're voting on. That's the only really good reason to abstain from a vote. But I think to disclose any potential conflict, be it real or perceived, is what you need to do if you're going to vote on an issue that does impact you directly.
Thank you. Bill Northrup.
No, I'm not a leaseholder or an investor in any oil and gas. Maybe I'm a little jealous. I talk to a lot of people who are, and they're quite happy, but no, I am not. And as to the question of conflict of interest, of course there's conflict of interest. It's very obvious. If you're a leaseholder or an investor, you have a direct interest in not just the success of your lease, but to see the whole industry succeed. That's absolutely in your best interest, and certainly it's a conflict of interest. To suggest otherwise, just silly. So the real question is, kind of commissioner, how you deal with that if you are a leaseholder or you're an investor, if you're already one, or if you become one. I think it creates a huge problem for you because this issue is not going to go away at the county level. It's going to grow, at least for the foreseeable future, and there's going to be continued problems with conflict of interest that keep coming up again and again and again, not just with the drillers, but all the subcontractors that are moving in here and so on, all which have leases. It's all intertangled, and you all know that. It's all interconnected, and so it's hard to separate one from the other. And that's, I think, a real challenge for a commissioner that would have an interest in a lease. You clearly benefit from how you vote, and it can be hard to vote against it, quite frankly.
Thank you. Larry Magic?
No, I'm not a leaseholder or an investor. I guess I wouldn't mind if I had a couple hundred acres to put out for lease, but no, I'm not. And we deal with issues every day. It could be a conflict. You'd have to maybe abstain from the vote or whatever the case is, but you got to be careful. Yeah, in public, everything we do in public government, everything is in a glass house, and you have to weigh your decisions and see if there are conflict of interest. So I think if you're negotiating with a company that maybe you're got a lease with, that could be a conflict, then you would have to abstain from those issues and those policy making. But we have a tough job. We're constantly dealing with tough decisions, and in those issues you would have to abstain or not make the vote.
Thank you. Harlan Schober.
I knew there was something tonight that would set me apart from the other candidates. I am a leaseholder. I have 2.5 acres at my home that I have a lease on with Range Resources. I also have 32 acres in Chartiers and 34 acres in Greene County that I do not have leases on. But basically, I signed the lease over the last year. All the small lots in the area all signed because they're putting a block together to drill on the opposite hill. But anyhow, something else sets me apart. My years as school director, as township supervisor the last 16 years, I deal with this all the time. I've been a builder and a developer in Chartiers. I've been on the township board. And I abstain when I feel that there's any conflict of interest coming up. But let me tell you a big problem that's coming for everybody. Number one, in interviewing with the Post-Gazette last week, when they called and asked me my opinion and what I'm doing here, they have many communities throughout western Pennsylvania that everybody in the township, being farmers, are leaseholders. That means 3 supervisors can't even vote if you hold this to that level. It's going to be an issue you'll hear more about. The Ethics Committee will rule on it. But what you do in this situation, whenever there's a hint of a conflict, you let the other 2 people on my board make the decision. You stay out of it. You announce it up front. I've been there, done that. However, if you don't know, they don't know what to say, because if there's too many people, there's no majority on the boards, you'll find out there's going to be a lot of controversy. We'll deal with that as it comes up.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll start with Bill Northrope. Where do we stand in the county reassessment project, and how do you think we should move forward?
In terms of where do we stand right now, it's before a judge waiting a decision. And I think one of the conflicts or one of the challenges there is it's been 30 years since an reassessment's been done, and I think the county commissioners, when they signed the agreement back in December of 2008, they agreed in that agreement that a reassessment was necessary, and that was part of the stipulation of facts that they signed. And so it's before the judge. She ultimately is going to make a decision about how the county moves forward on that, and then I guess it's up to the county to decide whether they don't like that decision to appeal it or abide by it. But one way or the other, something's coming down the track, and I think it's inevitable that a reassessment, whether it's this year or next year, sooner or later, one has to be done. It's been 30 years, you can wait another 10 years, and it'll be 40 years. And at some point, you have to bite the bullet. That's why I think it's important to have people who have, this is a complicated issue. It is politically messy. You can see in Allegheny County the rough time they're having there, and I think you need good people in county commission who can manage that, can manage people's expectation, can set up the system so that there's a sense of fairness as people go through an appeal process. Some people are going to certainly see their taxes lower. Absolutely, some people are paying too much in taxes, and other people are not paying enough. And the reassessment's designed to readjust all that and right that. But it's a complicated issue, and it's going to be a mess whenever it's done, whether it's now or it's in the future.
Thank you. Larry?
Let me make something perfectly clear. I am against reassessment. I've been against reassessment since the start. I did not stipulate to any reassessment, and I think the Board of Commissioners stipulated to any reassessment. We made our position clear. The reassessment is bad. It's a bad system. The system's being looked at by the state legislature. It's a horrible system. There's 2 systems like this in this nation, Pennsylvania and Delaware. Now, we just look north Allegheny County, which a lot of people do, and we say, look, do we want to be like Allegheny County? We got the lowest taxes in southwestern Pennsylvania. We got a population explosion. Now, we want to do like Allegheny County and have a reassessment. I don't think so. I've been against it. This board's been against it. I've been against it since the get-go. And let me make it clear, we made it clear with the news media, no one stipulated to a reassessment. We stipulated some facts that this reassessment hadn't been done since 1980. We stipulated the facts, some other things, but nobody stipulated the fact that there's going to be a reassessment. So as long as there's no misunderstanding, I'm totally against reassessment. It's a bad system. It's been a bad system. The legislators are looking at changing it, and that's what we need to wait and see what the legislators are going to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Harlan?